Hi guys, so this video is dedicated to how I achieve my braid outs. In the past, I didn't really do braid outs very often because they never came out right and it was so frustrating just spending so much time and energy, braiding your hair and getting everything ready and then only to take it out and it just looks terrible. So I know some people you can share in that frustration, so these are just some tips and techniques that I've learned that have helped me achieve better braid outs, and hopefully they'll also be able to benefit you. So if you guys are interested, keep on watching. So these are my materials. I'm going to be using my wide tooth comb to detangle my hair. You're going to need some gray perm rods. And then for my moisturizer, I'm using my Eden Body Works All Natural Pudding Souffle, the coconut shave version. And then I also have some flaxseed gel that I made. It's more of a liquid consistency because I put it in a tea infuser instead of letting the seeds steep. And then you're also going to need a hair tie. So I washed my hair and then I wore it in this stretch style for a little while just so that my hair would be nice and stretched without adding heat. You don't have to stretch your hair before you do this, but I find that you get more length and your curls can be a little bit more defined. So once I take my hair down, I'm going to separate the front section of hair. I was going to put it in 2 separate buns, but I didn't have time, so I just put it all up in one on the top of my head. Once I have the front section separated, I'm then going to separate the back section. I'm going to do 3 rows. So this is my first row. You notice my part isn't very straight, but I don't really like doing straight parts whenever I do braid outs or twist outs because then when you take it down, you don't have huge gaps in between. So for each section, I'm taking it and I'm spraying it with a little bit of water. That's one thing I forgot to mention in the beginning. This is just a spray bottle that used to have rose water in it and I just filled it up with water. And then I'm going to take my wide tooth comb and detangle each section. I'm spraying each section until it becomes slightly damp and then I'm adding a small amount of moisturizer. I'm then going to dip my fingers into the flaxseed gel mixture and then coat the strands with the liquid. I usually make it in a gel-like consistency, but I just didn't feel like being bothered with sifting out all of the seeds and all of that, so I made it this way. It definitely results in a softer hold, which is nice, but I think next time I'll probably go back to the gel. You can use whatever gel you prefer, just know that a softer gel will give a softer hold and it'll leave you with light and fluffy curls, in comparison to a harder gel which will leave you with longer lasting results. Once I've finished braiding the section all the way down, I'm then going to add the perm rod. You don't have to roll them this high. I feel like I sometimes just get excited and just keep rolling, but you definitely don't have to roll them this high. So here I finished the bottom 2 rows and then I'm moving on to the top. I've done 3 braids on the bottom row, 3 braids in the middle, and then at the top I'm doing only 2. In the back of my hair, I usually do smaller braids just because I have a tighter curl pattern, and it seems like smaller the braid, the better it comes out. But there's also kind of like a sweet spot where if I make it any smaller, then it just becomes more frizzy. So if you've been struggling with frizz and just making your curls define, I definitely recommend just trying different sizes. And depending on your curl pattern, I have about 4 or 5 different curl patterns in my head. So I know based upon the curl pattern, if it's tighter, then I make it a smaller braid. If it's looser, I can get away with making bigger braids. And I definitely recommend using the perm rods just because if you don't use them, the ends kind of just look poofy and undefined. So the perm rods give your ends a nice curl. Top section of hair, I'm pretty much going to keep the same side part that I have. And then for the smaller section, I'm going to do 1 section on the bottom near my ear and then 2 on the top. Like I mentioned, you don't have to stretch your hair before you do your braid outs, but I found that when I did do my braid outs on wet hair, it took forever to dry, and I would end up having to go under the dryer, and I noticed over time it was causing more damage. So by doing this on dry hair that was stretched, I find that I don't have to wait as long for it to dry, and I end up with more defined results. For the larger section, I ended up doing one section near my ear, and then I divided the top into 3 separate braids. Clearly, I was excited to be done. For some reason, I decided it would be a good idea to do this super late at night, so I was so tired. But basically, I ran out of perm rods, so I ended up wrapping multiple braids on a single perm rod, and it still came out fine. So if you ever run out of perm rods, just try this method, and then you don't have to worry about buying extra. So once I was finished, I ended up with 15 braids, and I just went to sleep with a satin scarf. And this is me in the morning. Whenever I take down my braid outs or my twist outs, I always put my hair up and then take out a few at a time. That way I know I'm taking out all the braids and I'm not left with a braid left over that I never saw. To take down my braids, I'm going to coat my hands in coconut oil. As you can see, I'm kind of sad because my coconut oil is almost gone. This one I bought from Trader Joe's, and it's pretty much been a staple since I got it. I use it on my hair, I use it on my body, I use it to do oil pulling for my teeth, and so I just use the heck out of it. Using the coconut oil basically helps to reduce the frizz while you're taking the braids down. Once I've taken all the braids down, I usually like to take a section from the smaller side and bring it over to just create more fullness at the top of my head. And then I'm going to take a hairpin once I've incorporated that section into the other side, and I'm going to pin it towards the back. That way if the wind blows, my hair will all stay to one place. And then I take another pin and I put it in the front of my hair, just because I don't really like my hair falling in my face. So adding the pin there just makes sure that my hair kind of stays and frames my face instead of falling into my face. Next, I'm going to fluff out my roots just to give me a little bit more fullness. I'm not really going to separate my braids much because my hair tends to separate and get more volume throughout the day. So these are my results. To go to sleep, I usually just put on a satin scarf and a satin cap to cover my ends, and if I'm really lazy, I'll just put on a satin cap. These are my results from day 1, and these are my results from day 2. So if you guys have any questions or comments, leave them down below, and thank you guys for watching.